So I'd like to invite all of us to, as we're sitting here, just notice and feel how alive everything is. That sense of the moment, what we call the moment. It's aliveness. Feel that. It's palpable, isn't it? This aliveness. It's as good a word as any, I think, to describe what's here, even though what's here is ultimately impossible to describe. But aliveness captures something of its, you could say, basic sort of nature. It's primal. It's primal nature, all of it, right? Feel that. Feel the inescapableness of aliveness. Everything is alive, isn't it? This is everything you find, in a sense, is aliveness. Of course, this is the curious thing about, exploring what's here experientially as we do in these meetings. On the one hand, we encounter all the incredible range of, we could say, the spectrum of phenomena, right? The flavors of this are so so distinct, so diverse, so different one from the other, right? All the different, textures of sound and light and thought and emotion and sensation, and then of course this wide range of phenomenal flavors and textures that don't really fit into any category that we have, any language category that we have, really. But all these flavors of life, all the textures of life, right, that we're always meeting in each instant, are we can say, the flavors of aliveness, right? If you feel quite relaxed, and you might describe your state as easeful and relaxed and calm, and that's the particular flavor of the aliveness. If you feel jittery and unsettled, and that's a flavor of the aliveness, right? But it's all of the aliveness. The aliveness, it's impossible for it to ever become something other than aliveness, right? No matter the shape that this vitality, this life, this aliveness takes, it doesn't matter the shape it takes, it remains alive. It remains this vibrant aliveness. Feel that. Let yourself really, really drink it in, like really, like just really drink in the aliveness. Notice that this is, we're constantly fed by this stream of aliveness. And it's not even accurate to say it that way, honestly. It's not like there's two things, like the aliveness and us, and we're being fed by the aliveness, which is what it could have sounded like I just said. It's like we are the aliveness. That's how direct the feeding of it, the receiving of it is that intimate and that direct, that we are not outside of it, receiving it. We are it. We are the aliveness, right? We're made of aliveness. The body is made of aliveness, what we call the body. Feel the body. It's how alive it is, how pulsating it is. What we call the mind is aliveness. What we call the personality is aliveness. So that whatever it is that's perceiving, we think of ourselves as the one perceiving. We often feel that way, like we're perceiving whatever we're perceiving or exploring or investigating, but the very mechanism of perceiving itself, whatever you want to call that consciousness, is pure aliveness, isn't it? Everything is brimming with this aliveness, this electricity of life. So it's impossible to ever be cast out of the aliveness. The aliveness doesn't ever leave itself. It never escapes itself. It's never out of itself. There's just aliveness in all the myriad forms and shapes and, as I said, flavors and qualities that the aliveness can present as. Some of them we might prefer that they weren't happening in certain moments, and others we might find like, wow, I really love this version of the aliveness. But it's all different versions of aliveness, we could say, different presentations of life, presentations of reality. And as you feel the aliveness of everything, including the one, whatever it is it's feeling, it's all aliveness. It's aliveness feeling itself. Just feel that. Aliveness noticing itself, appreciating itself, recognizing itself, drinking in itself. Pure aliveness everywhere. And feel the dynamism of this aliveness, the aliveness of the aliveness. That's its dynamism. It's not static, right? It's not it's got this quality of movement to it, of transformational, right? It has a presentation, sort of its display, but the display doesn't, like the aliveness doesn't display as something fixed that's holding still, that's sort of recognizable. And no, the display, it's like displaying. It's much closer to a verb than a noun. It's dynamism, right? Of course, the word aliveness is a word describing what's here, describing this that's here, whatever it is. But the word aliveness maybe captures a little bit, evokes something of its vibrancy, its dynamism, its presence, its potency, its here-ness. It's here, isn't it? It's absolutely here. Feel that. Feel the way in which the aliveness never leaves here. It never goes somewhere else, like over there. It's always here. This sense of here. In that sense, it's there is no there. There's just here. Or there's neither here nor there, literally. So the aliveness is outside of space. It transcends space. Beyond here, there. There's no, in other words, because the aliveness is undivided, it's not split up into here and there, spatially speaking. In that sense, it's beyond space, isn't it? The aliveness. It's, we could say, everywhere and nowhere somehow, simultaneously. The aliveness is also always now, right? It never can escape now. It can never escape the immediacy of and arrive somewhere else. It's always now, always this instant. So in a very real sense, the aliveness is completely outside of time, the flow of time. We can think of there was aliveness somehow before, like when we started the call 15 minutes ago or whatever. And like we can think that way, and of sort of the time passing, what we call the passage. But the aliveness is it's always right here. It's always in this instant. It's not, the past is not what we call the past. It can't ever arrive. You can't ever experience it, right? You can't ever encounter it. Can't ever escape now. Can't ever escape here. So this aliveness transcends time and space, literally. And yet it appears as a flow of time and the presence of space, spatiality. Notice how it absolutely does not matter what is happening. The aliveness is not determined by the way the aliveness is presenting, because no matter how it's presenting, as I said, it is the aliveness. No matter what its flavor, apparent flavor or quality is, whether we might think of it as something to our liking or not to our liking, and regardless, it remains the aliveness. So it's absolutely unconditioned. So we don't have to get ourselves into a particular state of recognizing the aliveness to be this aliveness, because all there is being this aliveness, you see. So it doesn't depend on anything. Nothing determines it, nothing causes it to be. So there's no special place to go to find it, no special state to get ourselves into to find the aliveness. That's the beauty, is that it just is what is here right now, already here, before we ever began the meeting. And long after the meeting is done. And as you feel the dynamism of this aliveness, and it may feel as if it's more palpable maybe right now as we sort of focus in on its presence. Of course, it is what's present even when it's not being focused on, right? That's the trick, to see that whether it's quote unquote being looked at and noticed and appreciated, it's the only thing that exists, is the aliveness. It's impossible to lose. As I said, impossible to be sort of cast out of this totality of aliveness, separated out from it somehow, split off from the aliveness. That isn't, it's an undivided, limitless expanse without any boundary that's findable. It's absolutely seamless, the aliveness, right? It's not made up of pieces with gaps between the pieces. No, it's just aliveness, aliveness, aliveness that shows up as all these seemingly differentiated parts and pieces, right? One from the other, one visual object from the next, one state seemingly divided from some other quality or texture of experience, but aliveness pervading everything seamlessly. But just really like see that This is already accomplished. The aliveness is already this. Already here as this very moment of experiencing.